Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to start this journey with you today. In this presentation, we'll explore CBSE Class 8 English Grammar, focusing on essential topics that will help you build a strong foundation. We'll look at the importance of understanding grammar rules, applying them effectively, and constructing grammatically correct sentences. Through engaging exercises and practical examples, you'll be able to improve your writing and communication skills. So, let's get started and make this learning experience both fun and informative. Let's dive into analyzing complex sentences. First, we'll look at how to identify compound sentences. These are sentences that connect two or more independent ideas, often joined by coordinating conjunctions like and, but, or. Recognizing these helps us understand how ideas relate and flow together. Next, we'll explore understanding simple sentences. These are straightforward, containing a single subject and predicate, and they form the building blocks of more complex structures. Grasping simple sentences is essential because they form the foundation for understanding more elaborate sentence types. Finally, by understanding both simple and compound sentences, we can better analyze sentences in general. This is crucial for improving our comprehension, writing clarity, and overall communication skills. Remember, recognizing different sentence types helps us see how ideas are constructed and connected in any text. Let's take a closer look at the different parts of speech that make our language rich and expressive. On this slide, we see categories like adverbs and prepositions, which add detail and clarity to our sentences. Adverbs, for example, often tell us how, when, or where something happens, while prepositions show relationships between different parts of a sentence. Moving on, we have verbs and adjectives, the core of our actions and descriptions. They help us paint a vivid picture. Then, there are conjunctions, which connect words, phrases, or clauses, making our sentences more fluid and cohesive. We also have nouns and pronouns, the building blocks of our subjects and objects in sentences. As you can see, these parts of speech work together to form meaningful communication. Understanding how they function helps us craft clearer, more effective sentences in any context. This slide emphasizes the importance of knowing these categories to improve our language skills overall. Now, let's focus on applying tenses in different contexts. This is crucial because understanding how to use each tense correctly allows us to communicate more clearly and accurately. On this slide, we're going to look at how to learn the structures used for expressing future actions. Recognizing these structures helps us convey plans, intentions, or predictions effectively. We'll explore various future tense forms, such as will, going to, and the present continuous for future arrangements. By mastering these, you'll be able to select the right tense depending on the situation. This is a key step toward fluency, as it connects to the overall theme of using tenses effectively to communicate in different contexts. Let's talk about the process of changing sentences from active to passive and vice versa. This is really useful because it helps us see how sentence structure can vary while still conveying the same message. When we convert sentences between these two voices, we're essentially shifting the focus of the sentence. Understanding passive voice is crucial here. In passive sentences, the subject receives the action. For example, the book was read by the student. The focus is on the book, not the student. It's often used when the doer of the action is unknown or less important. On the other hand, active voice has a different structure. Here, the subject performs the action. For example, the student read the book. This form is usually more direct and lively, making your writing clearer and more engaging. Defining active voice is important because it helps us see the difference. In active voice, the subject is doing the action. Recognizing the distinction between active and passive voices allows us to choose the right structure for our purpose, whether we're emphasizing the action or the actor. Throughout this presentation, understanding how to switch between these voices enhances our ability to communicate more effectively and adapt our writing style to different contexts. Now, let's take a closer look at punctuation differences. It's important to understand how punctuation varies between direct and indirect speech because it helps us convey meaning clearly. When we're converting speech, Paying attention to these punctuation marks makes a big difference in how our message comes across. Next, we'll explore how to change direct speech into indirect speech. This process involves more than just switching words around. It also requires adjusting punctuation and sometimes the sentence structure. As we go through this, recognize the key features of direct speech. These include quotation marks, punctuation like commas and periods, and the way the speech is introduced, often with words like said or asked. Understanding these characteristics helps us identify direct speech easily and then convert it smoothly into indirect speech. Remember, the goal is to maintain the original meaning while adapting the structure to suit indirect narration. So, by mastering these concepts, recognizing direct speech features, and knowing how to convert them, we enhance our overall communication skills, especially in writing and storytelling. This understanding ties directly into our broader theme of effective language use and clarity. Let's take a closer look at understanding zero articles in context. Often, in English, we don't use an article at all, and that's perfectly correct in many situations. Knowing when to use a or an is also essential, as these are indefinite articles used before nouns when we're talking about something nonspecific. For example, saying a dog or an apple helps specify that we're referring to any one of those items. It's also important to understand the difference between definite and indefinite articles. The definite article points to something specific that both the speaker and listener are familiar with, like the book on the table. On the other hand, indefinite articles like a and an introduce something more general or new to the conversation. All of these points tie into the larger theme of understanding articles, how they function in sentences, and how their correct use can clarify meaning and improve communication. Recognizing these nuances helps us become more precise in our language, which is key to mastering effective communication in English. Let's take a closer look at some key punctuation rules that can really improve our writing. First up, question marks rules. When we ask a direct question, we end it with a question mark to signal that we're seeking information or clarification. It's simple, but essential for clear communication. Next, comma usage. Commas might seem small, but they can dramatically change the meaning of a sentence. They help us separate ideas, list items, or set off introductory elements, making our writing easier to read and understand. Then we have periods and quotation marks. Periods are straightforward. They mark the end of a sentence. Quotation marks, on the other hand, are used to show when someone is speaking or to highlight a specific phrase. Knowing how to properly combine these helps keep dialogue clear and sentences well-structured. Finally, the slide covers common punctuation marks overall. These include commas, periods, question marks, exclamation points, and others. Understanding their proper use is fundamental because punctuation guides the reader through our message, indicating pauses, stops, or emphasis. All of these rules tie back to our main theme. Understanding punctuation is crucial for clear and effective communication. It ensures our ideas are conveyed accurately and professionally. Let's take a closer look at how understanding synonyms and antonyms plays a key role in learning context-based use. When we explore synonyms, we're expanding our word choices to make our communication more precise and engaging. Conversely, understanding antonyms helps us grasp the full spectrum of meaning and nuance. This process is essential for expanding our overall vocabulary skills, which is a fundamental part of effective language use. By mastering these concepts, we can choose words more thoughtfully, making our speech and writing clearer and more impactful. Ultimately, this approach supports the overall goal of enhancing our language proficiency and expressing ourselves more accurately in different contexts. Let's talk about some effective learning strategies that can really help improve your skills. First, practicing corrections is key. When you identify mistakes and actively correct them, you're reinforcing the right way to do things. It's a hands-on approach that makes your learning stick. Next, identifying errors is a crucial step. Becoming aware of where you tend to go wrong allows you to focus your efforts on those areas. This self-awareness is what guides your practice and helps you make meaningful progress. Finally, editing and omission are important strategies. Reviewing your work critically, editing out unnecessary parts, and filling in gaps where information is missing all contribute to clearer, more accurate communication. These steps tie back to our overall goal of mastering effective learning techniques. By constantly refining and correcting, you're building stronger skills that last. Let's take a look at some practicing examples to reinforce what we've discussed. The key here is to focus on keeping the subject and predicate in sync, especially when it comes to number. This means making sure that if your subject is singular, your verb is singular, and if your subject is plural, your verb matches that. Ensuring agreement might seem simple, but it's crucial for clear and correct sentences. Understanding the structure of your sentence helps you identify whether the subject and predicate are in agreement. Remember, subject-predicate agreement is the backbone of good sentence construction. It keeps your writing accurate and easy to understand. So, when practicing, pay close attention to these details, and over time, they'll become second nature. Now, let's focus on practicing subject-predicate combinations. This is a crucial step in building strong, clear sentences. Understanding the importance of word order helps us make sure our messages are accurate and easily understood. When we put subjects and predicates together correctly, we create sentences that are grammatically sound and meaningful. Remember, the key here is not just knowing the rules, but actively practicing how to combine subjects with predicates effectively. This practice reinforces the correct structure and improves our overall language skills. As we continue, keep in mind that mastering this foundation is essential for more complex sentence construction later on. So, let's stay attentive and practice these combinations carefully, because they are fundamental to building good sentences and communicating clearly. Regular exercises really do boost our assurance, and I want to emphasize how building confidence through consistent practice is so important. When we practice regularly, we become more comfortable with our language skills, which naturally enhances the quality of our expression. This isn't just about speaking or writing more, but about communicating more effectively in both areas. Applying what we learn in writing and speaking helps us become more versatile and confident in different situations. And of course, clear communication is essential, whether we're sharing ideas, giving instructions, or engaging in conversations. That's why mastering grammar plays such a crucial role. It's the foundation that supports all of these skills. When we have a solid grasp of grammar, our messages are clearer, more precise, and more professional. So, in the bigger picture, consistent practice and a strong understanding of grammar are keys to becoming more confident and effective communicators. And that's really the ultimate goal of this entire presentation, to help you master these skills and express yourselves with confidence.